It's the most incredible feeling to be here. This is live.
Live.
Wild Earth takes you on daily intimate experiences in nature live.
This is a very, very different adventure, charged with emotion.
Join expert guides as they search for Africa's most iconic animals.
How awesome is this? She's coming right past our vehicle. Take a closer look here.
Oh, careful. Oh, no.
Ask your host questions and have them answered in real time. Join us live every day on Wild Earth. This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Jumbo, and a very good afternoon once again. It's another wonderful afternoon that we're here, and we have some beautiful zebra to start this afternoon. And welcome to your afternoon live safari. Jumbo once again, and ready to start our afternoon live safari. Welcome to Masai Mara. We are at Mara Triangle this afternoon, and to start with, we have these beautiful dazzles of zebra dotted everywhere along the Ololololo Syria escarpment. That is the view that I have. What a wonderful way to start with that view. And this afternoon, remember to talk to us on #WildEarth. Well, very good afternoon. My name is Isaac, and on camera I have Bungei. This afternoon we're set to look out for lions all around and everything else that will come our way. Remember to talk to us on #WildEarth. Also, you can send in your kids' question at WildEarth TV. And also at FC. This afternoon we expect some rain, and already it is raining behind me. I had to drive very fast to get away from it, but I think I haven't gotten away yet until it stops. We have a lot of zebra here, as you can see, and looks like they're having fun with their tails wagging. Tells me they're very comfortable, and they're taking a break. Maybe it's a much needed break from all the eating and moving this morning, so it's a good time for them to rest. These are bachel zebra, and majority of them are part of the migrating herds that come to us during this time of the year. Rosaline, Jumbo, how loud are the zebra calls? Well, if you're very close to them, they can be very loud. I cannot do zebra. It sounds like a dog, and very close, actually to a dog from a distance, it sounds like barking, something like that. But it depends if you're close or not. But it can be loud, not deafening, enough loud. And if you've ever had a donkey, could be close to that, although it's not continuous like a donkey. It breaks a lot. Here there is many dazzles that have come together to form one huge herd. Dazzles are usually about 6 to around 12, one stallion, a few mares and foals. And when migrating, they will come because they actually feed on the top layer of the grass. and also some parts of the coarse parts. So they come in fast, and they had come in through this area, grazed a lot, and then, you know, they have come back for a little bit more. Well, it's such a beautiful view, and I have to continue on. So as I move on, I'll leave you with that beautiful, you know, sight.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Djuma Private Game Reserve, to your live safari from the African wilderness in here in Sabi-Sands Lowveld, looking at the beautiful lion's eye flowers. And my name is Andrew. On camera this afternoon, I have a Theo. He summed up such a beautiful flower that we're looking at right there. So we talk about lions, and of the plants actually named after some of the animal we have in this area. Looking at the bright, beautiful, kind of a yellow, slightly reddish taking place in that plant. And it's an amazing plant, which is only opened when it's the sunrise. You see beauty of this plant, but then sunset, it's actually folded up again, so you won't even recognize its color or anything. So that's so important. When you shine around at night, you all pick up reflection from this plant. So it reminds you of the lion's eye. Most guides, trackers, these are the one actually able to compare this brightness of the reflection from that plant and the lion's similar looking, especially if you don't know what you're looking for, what you're looking for at night. More possibly shining on the ground, stop your guide or something reflection back there, then you find there's a plant. But yeah, you know, most of the time, you know, the only this time of year where there's pretty much flowering flower like this. And it's a beautiful flower. This, look at this column, especially close up look. And then what will participate on this collection here for anything like honeys, honeybees. You know, those honeybees, they would go investigate a lot of different flowers that occurred around here. Could be yellow flower, red flowers, and all they do is just collect all of these little powder they got, put them in their back legs and fly back to their nest again. But there are so unique kind of flower when you look at just the color from the distance. So I'm gonna, in the area where we're looking for the lions, pride of lions. So I'm gonna carry on with my journey, and I'm gonna send you over to another guide who will be taking you to beautiful wilderness of Africa.
Good afternoon and welcome to and Beyond Ngala, where this afternoon we're looking at a elephant bull that's just cooled himself down. If you have a look, you can see he's quite dark in color, and that's because of the water. Now myself, I'm Yapi, and behind the camera we have Owen. And it is a very, very, very hot day here on Ngala, so we've decided to park off in the shade away from the elephants and watch and see what they do. Now there were 3 others here earlier, and they've just moved off in the same direction that this elephant is moving off. Have a look at the dry sand underneath that elephant's feet. You can see he's actually completely covered in mud. And he's just casually strolling off on a very, very hot day like this. When we come to the large watering holes, we often find that the elephant bulls in the heat of the day come to cool themselves down.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Sabi-Sands, and more specifically, welcome to Torchwood and the Nkuhuma Pride. Now, we haven't been able to get them on the show for you since yesterday, but a few days before that, it's been some time since the Nkuhumas have been on the property. And, well, we're very excited to have them around. This morning, we managed to track them down, which was really, really cool. and they are looking quite hungry. Hello everybody, my name is Steve, joined by Morgan and Cameron. As always, very excited to have you with us. So spending time with lions this time of day can be a little bit slow, as you see. They are basically going to spend the next, few hours just chilling in the shade. On the way here, they left the cubs. The tracks of the cubs were with them for a long time, and probably half a kilometre or so within that radius from here, they left the cubs behind. 9 cubs. Maybe the 2 big males are with them. I'm not sure. We weren't able to find them yet. We spent time with these lionesses this morning, and they tried to catch a young giraffe. But right now, I think they're just going to enjoy a little bit of the cool breeze under this tree. A puddle of lions in the shade of a magnificent marula tree. This is a splendid example. And one of the reasons, and it is a female as well, so we could expect lots of marulas to be popping out soon, falling on the heads of the lions in the coming months, but not quite yet. Just look at these guys. Girls. They're really squishing up together, legs on top, legs in amongst each other. It's a real Christmas bed, everybody. They went from this morning to this position to 90 kilometers an hour as they took off after a giraffe, and then they slowly wound down again. So many people think sleeping lions don't do anything. Well, if there's nothing to be done, they won't do anything. But if something comes their way, they will gladly hunt in the heat of the day. It just depends on the effort required. They're definitely hungry. According to the tracks, they hunted a few times last night, unsuccessfully. But in saying that, it's possible they might have had a small impala or 2 that doesn't really touch sides. Yeah, a little Nediki calling there. Thinking to yourself, what are all these big cats doing in my territory? Hello everybody and welcome back. We are still with Nkuhuma Pride, who are just chillaxing in the shade of this magnificent marula tree. Lots of legs and feet. Oh.
So our elephants have moved off, but in the water we've noticed that there's quite a couple of hippos. You can see like that one, we only see the top of their head as they come up every now and again. But it looks like there might be a little bit of tension going on here. And that hippo over there just now even grunted. Looks like another 2 over there. Now they come up and then they keep disappearing. So it's very, very tricky to actually know exactly how many hippos there are here. And we've been trying to count, and this far it looks like there's at least 4. See, every time it comes up, it flicks the ear to get the water out and take a quick breath and go down. Now, it might be that that hippo over there is maybe another male hippo. And the one that we were looking at first might be right in between that hippo and maybe a female or a younger one. I've often noticed that after lots of rain, as we have had recently, when the water holes fill up, we often find that hippos come from other areas to the watering holes here on Ngala, where at this point there's more water. And then what we find is that some of these males become quite aggressive and territorial over these areas. KF, what a good question. Do hippos have issues with elephants? Personally, I don't really know, but what I have seen is that they do tend to get quite nervous when large herds of elephants come down towards the water, especially very, very hot days in the summer months in the Lowveld. The elephants often come late afternoon in large groups, and they come and they wade all the way into the water where they go for a swim. And when that happens, I often find that the hippos move straight towards the central part of the watering hole where they all huddle together, and they kind of wait until the elephant disturbance, if you like, moves off. So I guess they do actually have a little bit of issues with elephants. I saw, it looks like there were two younger ones there with that one, so I'm pretty sure that that is a female, or at least two females and their offspring. And we have that big male that is near them as well. And he's just keeping the other guy off on the one side of the watering hole.
Welcome to Tswalu Kalahari, another beautiful day here in the semi-arid areas. My name is OBAKENG, and behind the camera there we've got Dave doing a very good job for us there. Back to the oryx there on top of the dune. It's a very common thing for them to do what we found him doing, sitting right there at the top of a dune, actually maximizing his body temperature to get it almost higher than what the environment is actually doing, and so that when he moves off to a cooler place or to a shade, it feels like he's actually cooling off. And it's just a survival strategy for them to actually make sure that they actually can thermoregulate themselves. It's just a very smart way of doing it. So it's all in the brain, like they say. If you think it, you can do it. Slowly coming down now. Also in the same direction that they are heading, we're hoping to find some cheetahs, and let's see how successful that will be. Fingers crossed. I think we're gonna start moving a little bit on and seeing where he's also heading. While we move on, I'm gonna be sending you off to another beautiful area in Africa.
Beautiful. So we were lucky finding this pride of Talamati pride of lions, still sitting in this shade, since the temperature still hasn't settled down, so still sitting on 35 degrees 95 Fahrenheit, which is still far too much for, I think, everybody, including us as well. sitting in his sun, but looking at them from their shadow, this is what they have chosen, I think, for the entire day since this morning. And I'm sure this is where they've been seen around here. And there's been a lot of tracks of a buffalo. Or maybe they were behind a buffalo the whole night. Probably, they gave up hunting probably this morning. And then a buffalo, I think they have moved far from here, because then we haven't seen anything from them, but they were seen this morning. So they're probably in one of the waterhole or grouping up in one of these shade just to take it relax a little bit just before the sun cooled off. Pam, good afternoon. Welcome to your lovely show for this afternoon. So you want to know which bride it's? So this is it's called Dalamati Pride. So Dalamati Pride, it's named after Shangani name, which means plenty of water. And they moving in and out from this southern and the northern boundary. And they move to Manyeleti Kruger National Park sometimes. And this is usually where they stay around. But, this is far they can get to Juma, Torchwood area. And you see how now they have pushed too much in this area. Just because they get attracted by many of food source around here. Buffalo was seen since yesterday. We had a huge buffalo come in, and they haven't moved out yet. So we have this pride, and we're having KHOZA pride on the far east into Torchwood area with the stiff right now. But so this is what sometimes you may find 2-3 different pride in the area, and of course they would compete or hunt for their own success in terms of feeding. But the buffalo, it's actually not easy for them to kill, but hunting in a herd of buffaloes, it's all about working together as a team of whole pride over here that you see. So everyone had a way or experience to be able to communicate as they hunt. Eventually those left behind will be taking these buffaloes. This is what they do, especially when they hunt buffalo, because it's not easy prey. Buffalo, they usually fight back lions, usually kill lions sometimes, if it happens. So that they don't actually look like they're eating anything last night for me. Their tummy is quite flat. There's no painting quite a lot here, which means when they get mobile again, they'll be probably looking forward much to a hunt again. Then it could be anything: impalas, zebras, wildebeest, kudus. Those would be much on the menu for them. There's quite a few numbers here. They need at least sustainable meal for them to be able to eat while they group up. See that one? She's probably licking herself. So here they are all, what is happening? Just a family care society where they all remain together, love one another. I've seen 2 young males here in this group that was already developed a little bit of a mane, and they're possibly 2 female youngsters as well, and there are 4 adults. So, 3 adults, I think, yes. So this is what makes this bride. But it could be that they're all separated. I'm not sure totally of them, how many. This is one of the young males. He's gonna roll up to the other side. You can still see a lot of a spot on the lines, especially when they're too young. The spot is there. You're easily mistaking them, thinking you're looking at the leopard sometimes. But because of when they're born, their spot are well developed. And the reason for that is to actually indicate their younger age, but also for their own well camouflage. Usually mother leave them go hunting, and when she returns back, sometimes it happens they kind of move around too much, play around when they think it's safe. and these spots can able to survive them because they're not visible much, but then they're still vulnerable to any of a hyena or a marshall eagle we have around here can take them up.
Welcome back. So we've just run into two of those elephant bulls that we saw at the watering hole earlier. We're on a road that heads away from the watering hole, and we decided to head towards this very large open area. Ooh, you can see right over there, we can see the elephants. Now, it's a bit of a tough view. You can just see the back of one there. Massive creatures. Actually standing out above these shrubs around us, but they do blend in very, very well. I mean, at first glance, if you had to take a quick look, you'd probably not even notice that there's an elephant there. You can see there's some marula trees there in the back. I'm pretty sure that tree casts quite a large shadow. And these elephants might actually move over towards that side. So, they've done exactly what an elephant bull, or at least what I would expect an elephant bull to be doing at this point. They've just moved away from the water where it's open and no shade, and they've moved down into the valley below the watering hole to slow down and feed. But I think we're going to leave them here, and we're going to continue along. There is a very large clearing in this area, and at the moment I'm pretty sure that there'll be some general game around in that area, maybe giraffe, zebra or wildebeest, and if not, then probably some impala. Now I know that area is characterized by some very, there is a nice view. Last view of this elephant, but I think he might be moving off. You can just see the tail there moving. See, now he's standing dead still. What a colossal creature.
Welcome back to Tortured with our lions, who have been having a little bit of a competition for space with regards to their legs. There's some real little snuggling going on right now, and if any of you know what it's like to snuggle when it's very hot, it's never that comfortable. There's been a little bit of pushing and legs pushing at each other, but those two there are having a proper little cuddle. So much love in this pride. So much attention. There we go. She's looking at us going, yep, I love my sister. Very tactile, everybody, lions. Tactile means very touchy-feely. Very social, the only social cat that we know of. And their feeding strategies when they do make a kill can be extremely aggressive and violent towards each other. And then afterwards, you'll often find them reaffirming those bonds through grooming, known as allo grooming, cleaning each other, telling each other they're sorry, I just got caught up in the moment. And whenever you find a pride, they're generally very close to each other like this. It's also depending on where the shade is. They follow each other. One will get up and move, normally one of the elder ones, and off they'll go. But for the most part, 20-odd hours a day, this is what they'll be doing. So we're going to move on from our lines. Go see if we can find something else out there in the sunshine. It is quite a warm afternoon. voting in Parley, you want to know if lions show more aggression when mating. Well, what do you mean? Compared to what? When lions mate, it is quite an interesting scene. The female is obviously very excited, and she instigates it with the male. And then when they mate, the male actually has got a very interesting penis that's barbed. So after copulation, it actually hurts the female to the point where she'll turn around and give him a swipe. And it can look very, very aggressive. There's generally a bit of biting that goes on. They are lions, after all, everybody, and everything they do is generally a little bit more rough and tough than most other animals. Well, it is part and parcel of the lion world. I don't think they mean to be aggressive. They just have that outward appearance, and when they show their teeth, they look quite aggressive straight away. And of course, with the male bite in the neck and the female giving him a swipe, he learns to get out of the way very quickly. So mating lions is a process. It's normally a 3-4 day affair. And when you spend time with them, it can often result in some wonderful, wonderful images. The sounds are really, really cool. And normally a little bit more exciting and far more aggressive than them lying here in the shade, just like this. So a mating pair of lions is exciting because every 15 minutes or so, maybe 7 minutes, depending on where it is in the cycle, they will mate. And so there's movement, there's activity, and there's sounds. So we're going to move on from these lions and go down towards Chitwa, see if we can find anything there.
Well, from sleeping lions to slightly awoken, awake lionesses. These are the owinos, and that is a good sign. Did I say it too soon? I don't know. They look like they really need a meal, but looks like resting has taken better part of their afternoon. I was hoping that they're gonna get up and do something, but they are doing what they do best. Yeah, the Owino Pride is a breakaway from the Sausage Tree Pride about 4 years ago, and they consist of about 4 lionesses and Mint Magic Jumbo. The lions still smell prey while sleeping. Of course, if the wind is blowing directly towards them, they will pick that up quite easily. They'll pick up that, there is something, and they will head there as soon as they smell it. Yes, they do smell even when sleeping if the wind is in their direction. There is a few animals around here. Might look very empty, so it's just a matter of these guys picking that, there are some animals and they will go. And I think this one lone lioness has picked up that there is some zebra behind there, and there is very good cover everywhere. So I'm hoping that they're going to make some dinner this afternoon. They need to eat almost every about 7 days in desperate conditions, but they rarely wait until that time. They have to accumulate a bit of fat. If there is something, they'll eat every day, each and every day. Lions in general are facing serious threats everywhere. I would say globally. Here in the Mara, they are slightly protected, but we still are losing a lot of lions. One main thing is the human-wildlife conflict and also poaching. It is not prevalent, but it does happen. So although we do show you lions every other day, this is an animal that is facing extinction if the trade continues. Otherwise, our prides here in the Mara are doing really well. we expect to see lots of cubbies quite soon, because many lionesses have been mating, and so it's about time that we start seeing cubs. From last month that we have new cubs. This month I'm sure we will have cubs, and in the next coming days I'm sure we will be seeing quite a good number of cubs, because I'm missing a lot of lionesses. Well, that lioness is very focused on something. I'm hoping she's gonna go. As I was saying, I expect to start seeing more and more cubs in the next coming weeks, because I'm missing a lot of lionesses, and most of them were pregnant. We already know that the River Pride have got about 7 cubs. We've lost them. We know that Bahati's mother has got Bahati, and then her sisters have got some cubs. Bahati's mother, we haven't seen them for quite a bit, so I expect to see more cubs, and it's about time they come out, because when the wildebeest and zebra are gone, it's going to be harder for them to leave them in one specific hidden point all the time, so they will have to move them every other day, and it's going to be perfect for us to see them. That looks like the mother of these two, this one young lioness who's almost 2.5, 3 years. Look at that. Yeah, she needs a belly rub, but I'm not going to volunteer. Well, when resting, I think lions know how to do it. Look at that foreleg. Look at the muscle. That is what she uses to bring down, prey. I think we will have, I don't know if it is going to be successful, but I can tell that that young lioness there has pinpointed some zebra quite a long ways away, and she's very focused. I'm hoping that she's gonna give us at least some action, so we don't always say they're lazy like we do. Continue talking to us, #WildEarth. Questions and comments are very, very welcome. Yes, I'm hoping that the other one will come and join them so we can see them all together.
Good luck, Isaac. Here there's not much change, but there's another young female. She came join, so it looks like they were well spread around here. And then this is how they think they are being thinking of able to join later when it's cooler. This is when everybody feel cooler breeze take place. And then all the heat is going to be blown off by the wind. Sarita, good afternoon. Welcome to a beautiful show, your lovely show this afternoon. So you want to know what makes the lioness be a better hunter than the lion, the males. So one thing, females, they have a lot of energy than the males. Where males, they have, but they can't keep up for that energy for long. So they give up quite quickly. But also the female, somehow that energy they keep up with them, it's all about a lot of, think back to their young one. When they have a young one, they got to make sure they got to hunt, make sure their young one able to eat, more especially when these young ones don't drink milk, if they have a youngest age of probably a year old or anything. And that they need to keep up on their hunting skills. Pushing too much on effort even during the day, you see those lions that will be pushing too much on hunt. So the males cannot do that sometimes. They are slightly loss of control when it comes to heat, even at night. You find male lion, they may sleep for much longer than a female do. So yeah, there's something to do about getting a little one to feed on them, but also they're a lot full of energy, the females. When the males hunt, they have a lot of power. Two males can bring full buffalo down, grown buffalo down. But it's so that, they're not actually in this kind of technique. They don't have a lot of effort than a female do. So this female, they'll be lying in this shadow here. I'm going to stay put. In the meantime, I'll be taking you to another safari live.
Welcome everybody. We have found the Queen of Djuma herself, Thandi Cat. I do believe it is Thandi. It looks like Thandi. And I don't see her cub. We've just moved on from our lions who are sleeping very flat. Oh, she's going to come and drink. What an opportune moment. Maybe she's going to take us to her cub. I was quite surprised, Andrew saying his lions are starting to move. And now here our female leopard is starting to move. We're on an area in Tortured called... Oh, the bird just made a jump. Did you see that? Oh, I think the Cape turtle dove got as much of a fright as she did. Oh, beautiful girl. What are you doing walking over the rocks? We've had to pull ourselves up onto the rocks ourselves here due to the fact that in the depression we didn't have any signal. So let's I don't know if we're going to be able to follow her there. We're going to do our best. We can stay here for a moment. It looks like she's going to go down the other side. If she goes into that drainage, we could probably follow her, but we probably will not be able to broadcast. But we will try. The inquisitive tail, a life of its own. Please tell me you all saw her jump. That was awesome. I was busy looking at her and not at my monitor, but I saw her do a 180 jump. Makes me feel like I'm on the slopes in France doing 180s on my snowboard. That was the technique. How awesome. Okay, well, are you hungry, Thandi? I'm so surprised to see her moving in this heat on the rocks. I can tell you, everybody, it's warm. For her to be moving in this heat, she was just lying up here in the shade next to a little puddle of water. And it's why I was on my way to go check one of the other watering holes, because when it's hot like this, you can expect to find animals near water. It makes sense. Near their favorite watering holes. Okay, well, she's going down, so we're going to need to try and reposition. On the rocks, we are. Wonderful granite outcrop. It's going to get a bit bumpy. Just need to update the gentleman who's coming to join me. Oh, no, she's still there. She's found herself a little shady spot. There you go, there. There we go, Morgan, is that all right? That'll do for now. Thandi, could you maybe find a spot where we can also get some shade? That would be wonderful. That'd be wonderful. Underneath that beautiful tree. Zed, I'm not certain how much. It must be a few litres at a time. Just to quench themselves. They don't drink constantly. They'll drink maybe once a day, sometimes twice a day if it's available. Often if it is hot like this, they'll need to drink more, but they can often get a lot of their moisture from the animals that they eat. So the blood has got a lot of obviously moisture in it. So they get a lot of their moisture from that. But I'm not sure exactly how much they would drink at a time. Obviously males more than females, but sometimes you can see them drinking and it goes on for a very long period of time. Their tongue lapping it up. If you watch it in slow motion, it actually creates this sort of vortex effect of the water going in and underneath the tongue and into the back of the mouth. It is really very strange to see the design. It doesn't look very efficient, but it actually is quite an efficient way of drinking. But she must be hungry for her to be as attentive as she is right now. So alert. But we're going to try to stay with her for as long as we can and see what she gets up to.
Well, my lions have decided to show me the better side, and they are moving out. And it looks like we are on for our evening hunt. Those two ahead, the one on the mound and the one walking in the middle, are the cubs. I won't call them cubs because they are almost adults now. And the one that's going to appear onto the screen now is the mother. You can tell that she's slightly aged, bigger in size. Even her color is richer. It's not always the way you tell, the age, but with experience, I can tell you that she is a mother. They are moving closer. There is some zebra on the other side. Still, I don't know if they're going to hunt, but I'm being positive that they're going to hunt. If they play like that, all the zebra is going to see them, and I don't think it's going to happen. So I'm hoping the one to the left can focus and understand that they need a meal. Okay, looks like he also wants to play with mommy. That one there. They can be playful when they want. That high mound like that, it's a good place. It's a vantage point where they can see what's around. Yeah, this part of play is for strengthening their muscles and also improving skills, how to turn quickly if need to, and also how to wrestle animals if they need to. So they're quite essential, and it looks like we are on. I see how they're splitting. The way they're splitting over there is a very good strategy because they cover a much bigger area, and so in case an animal runs either way, they have covered that area and it's easy to get it. The mother might move in the middle, and so they'll flank it. Even one might go around and chase it towards the two. I think the best thing to do for me is to try and keep some distance where I can see them, but not interfere with the whole situation. It's always exciting, but I've learned to be patient until the last minute because, they're not as successful as thought. In every 100% chances they try, they're only successful about 70%. So it's not guaranteed, but where the area we are in is perfect because there is enough cover, there is a lot of shrub and termite mounds, and the zebra are busy grazing. So I don't know if this is our another hunt that we might see. Let's see. And sometimes it happens very quickly, and sometimes it takes a very, very long time, even an hour or so. So hopefully it happens, quite quickly. I'm going to try and find a spot here where I can see both and also a place where I can see the distance between prey and predator, so it can give me an idea of how long it's going to take before they're on top of the prey. I've lost them somewhere here, the two young cubbies. Over there, I see one, and the other one is over there. Okay. They're over there, Bungi. I think this is a perfect distance for us to keep. You see them over there? Yeah. So I'm going to stay at this distance.
And there we have two southern ground hornbills. One's just caught something. You can see it threw its head back as it swallowed it. And we finally made it to those clearings I was talking about earlier. And the nice thing about this time of the year is, you can see, look at that wildebeest. They're all packed in a line in the shade of that tree next to them. Perfectly lined up. And that's what I think any animal would do at this point. That's clever enough to know that it's extremely hot. You can see the ears flicking, the tails flicking. And if you have a look around, you'll notice there's a little bit of a bare patch and also a pan there. What's interesting is look at these two wildebeest off here on the right. See, these two are right out in the open. Now, from where I am, I can't really see too clearly. There might be a patch of mud there. This particular area where we are in during our rain season, which is now, it often forms, no, it just looked like dust as he got up, so it's probably his territorial spot. It does look like an ancient or very big bull wildebeest, and more than likely a territorial male at that patch. Now, during this time of the year, seasonal pans like that one where that wildebeest is, you can see right behind him is some water. And they form, and they usually start out something small, just a track in some very wet mud, becomes dammed up, and then as animals from smaller animals start using that water all the way through to larger animals, eventually animals like these wildebeest and even elephants, rhinoceros, buffalo, and they eventually turn out to become quite a large pan. What an amazing scene. Lots of life out here. About a month ago, this was very arid, almost no grass. And now everything's returned with the rain. And we were talking about that male wildebeest keeping his territory earlier. Now that looks to me like it might be a herd, which means that there will be some females. You can see a younger one in the foreground. Oh no, actually not. Sorry.
There's a Tandy cat. She's seen something, Brer, that we haven't seen, eh? Take her or something.
Sorry about that. This line now, they are very much, one actually just get mobile slightly away, just only one that never move from this very pride. I think this is all about bathroom. And it's so clever that they clean animals. Every time when they take a rest, make sure when they have to defecate, even urinate, they have to walk aside, urinate or defecate and come back clean, back to the pride again. I can tell you for sure their poop is so smelly, so you wouldn't like that too. And they probably don't like it as well, their own poop. So she will return back to this very pride once she's done. Or he looks like one of the young males in this pride, so I'm gonna stay put here. I'm gonna be sending you over another Safari Live.
Welcome back to Tswalu Kalahari. We've got a female giraffe feeding on a tree there, these camel thorns. A very interesting interaction happening there. You'll see the giraffes feeding on these thorny trees. They'll actually use a very long tongue that they've got, almost up to about 45 centimeters in length, the tongue, and they would just nibble on just the leaves because these trees have thorns, whereas if they're feeding on trees that don't have thorns, what they do is they'll wrap the tongue around the branch and almost strip the branch, pulling through and gathering the leaf matter towards them. But what is interesting now that is happening is if you take note of how everything would work between the giraffe and the tree. I'll focus more on the tree for now. Is the communication that happens with trees, and a lot of people would be surprised when I say communication that happens with trees. Now, ever wondered why some trees would have thorns and some trees wouldn't have thorns? It's mainly to protect themselves, but also entangled with that, there's a bit of a communication skill happening there, where trees without thorns would have to produce a lot of tannin on the leaves or in the leaf content, making themselves bitter and avoiding to be fed on. And with the trees with the thorns, because they've got the thorns, they don't have to produce as much tannin, and hence these browsers would prefer such trees with thorns rather than the trees without thorns. It's because of that. And also the tannin helps these trees communicate, because it's a very light chemical that is carried by wind. So what will happen is the tannin content will be blown from one tree to the next tree, and the next tree, without even having been bothered, would also start producing that tannin, and that's how they communicate, and that's how they would actually make sure they survive. It's a very interesting thing for them.
Beautiful. So, looking at this bride, still in the shade, but they can't stop licking one another as they do hello grooming. As you can see, one just putting a little bit of its paws on top of one of their sister, I think, two sisters in there. It's just so cool about being in a group or pride. And the chance of survival, it's great. So always lines that are always single up or lost from the pride, or eventually the whole pride wiped off, maybe dies somehow. Find one survive, even the male line wandering around on his own, found himself very much harder to survive. It's a lot of challenge sometimes because it doesn't work well when they're not in a pride. Hunting-wise, it's also one of the difficulties. And of course, you know, it's all about surviving. You know, you dominate, especially males. They have to dominate some grounds. Set up their own territory, boundaries, and this is where they'll call themselves home while they're in there, and all attract a lot of females, dominate them, reproduce. A lot of babies will be born. But you know, if that doesn't happen, this is when you don't have a lot of males. You have a lot of females. And reproduction won't going to happen because then these animals don't really interbreed. The young one we see over here, these two young males, it will come at a time where they will be separate from this very bride. And they will eventually going to be looking very much to dominate their own ground somewhere else. But for that, it's so much of a risk for a nomadic male to arrive in the area where it's high risk of big male lions and trying to claim their own ground from there. Results of maybe getting killed or injured. But if there is no other strong males dominating that area, it's easy for them to get in. But that's always a result of a lot of maybe offspring will be killed if there isn't a young one within these pride that they're around in that area. Once new males arrive, started to set their own territory within the area, they were definitely going to have to dominate some female. Those females they're going to dominate in that area. It's so important that they don't have cubs, somebody else male's cubs, because then they're going to have to kill them to able to restart their own future with these females, reproduced, making sure they actually germinated their own gene pools within the area. So that's one of the challenge on the male lions or any other lions. Female also is never easy for her to run around on her own, and then she always has to be up, check around for safety, even when she kill, feed, but not comfortable like they're in a pride, where they will able to look out, but each one will take its turn to look for a safety. They're still vulnerable to other unknown lions, especially when they have this kind of like and a young one over here. If any other male come in here, claim this area where I've walked, they have to move out, for example, and then it's going to be a lot of mess. It's going to be a lot of a killing. Then, yeah, it's a lot of kind of a politics in this kind of animals, if you want to think of it.
And we still at this large clearing, and we just found this herd of elephants come walking in out of the line of trees. Now they've stopped over there, and I'm not entirely sure why. I do see that some of them are wet, and I think where they come from there's a bit of a marsh section there, so they've probably gone and covered themselves with some mud, like that guy. Have a look, there's mud all over his head, down on his front legs, back legs, and then of course the tip of the trunk you can see. He's slowly moving away from the rest of the herd, and I think it's because he might be heading over towards more water. Now the rest of the herd, it looks like and that's why. See now that where he came from there was a bit of mud there on the ground. And a big elephant bull like this often You do get to see him walk straight across a large clearing like this. When you encounter some other animals along the way, you might try and push them out of the way or make them move off. I can see there's also a secretion from the temporal gland. But I don't think this elephant is in muths. So I think that might just be something brought on by the stress because of the heat. Have a look at the impala slowly moving off as he's approaching. Let's see what happens here. Ooh, he's found something good to eat. You can see he's trying to wrap his trunk around it. Must be a small shrub or something. Oh, or maybe just grass. As we can see, it's green all around and lots of grass around. And the grasses in this area is mainly what attracts all of these different species. And what we've noticed in the Kruger Park and the greater area, this time of the year, elephants, especially bulls, they tend to eat quite a lot of grass. Supplement their diet. They've been eating a lot of materials high in tannin, like the bark of trees up until now, right at the end of the dry season. And how spectacular is that? A decent sized herd. You can see the little ones, each of them moving close to the mother. Yeah. This is unbelievable. Ooh, look at the little ones trying to catch up with mom. Now it looks like they found a good spot to eat there. It looks like it's getting a little bit denser there. Maybe they might also use the shade in that area. And that clump of trees. Now elephants, which is animals that move quite long distances to get to water and good areas with food. KF, good question. How fast do elephants run? They look a little bit odd when they run. It looks like they're walking really fast. But they can go up to about 40 kilometers if they really they go full out. Anything from 25 to about 40 kilometers per hour, which is relatively fast. In fact, faster than we are. And you wouldn't think so if you look at an elephant straight up and you think this very large animal, the movements are quite slow. If you look at that elephant there, look at the movement of the tail, the trunk. And what's interesting is he's right out in the open, but the ears aren't flapping. Now, I don't know if you are able to see this on the camera, but there's quite a steady breeze blowing here. And with that mud on that elephant, mud must still be quite cool. I think this breeze is helping him to cool down at this stage. Look at that impala, wildebeest. Thought I saw some zebra earlier on as well. Sinek, how do the animals here cope with the tannins? Oh, I think it's a very difficult question to answer straight up. I don't think all of them cope in the same way. In fact, most of them I'm not even sure how they would do that. I know that elephants, they seem to deal with tannins quite well, and that might just be because of their size. They've also got a pretty poor digestive system, so most of what they eat actually goes straight through their system. Other animals like the wildebeest, the impala, giraffe on occasions, they are ruminants. And animals like the wildebeest, they strictly eat grass. The grass is not as high in tannins as some of the trees might be. So the tannins in their diet isn't nearly as high as it would be, say, for a giraffe, for instance. It mostly browses or feeds on the leaves. Giraffes can also tolerate high levels of tannin, and generally speaking, the trees kind of raise the tannins while they're being fed on. And you'll often find that they just feed for a little while and then move off. But this time of the year, with a lot of trees blooming and new leaves growing, they do pump them full of tannins to protect them from the herbivores. It's essentially attacking them at a large scale at this time. You can see that herd of elephants move out of the clump of trees, and it looks like they're moving right into the wind towards those green trees in the background, which is knobthorns, and I'm sure they're going to go feed in that area.
Thanks, Yapi. So, well, our line is still in the shade over here. So I don't think it's going to be any movement in this kind of like light. Still kind of warm for them. And then they're probably going to decide to move when it's cooler, which I don't think is going to be happening soon. So I'm sure we're going to be shortly leaving them and probably looking around for something else around this waterhole. And hopefully we come across some elephant swimming or a herd of buffalo drinking, or yes, exciting things out there. And then we're probably going to check with them later on, or whoever would be joining in this site here. They will keep us updated what these lines do. They would probably change shade quite often because shade moves since the sun is actually going down slightly. And that female is just doing the same as the other one was doing. Leopard lover, yes, was. So was like hairballs was happening here, or fairballs. Usually do that when they are. Sometimes they can sneeze, sometimes they can do a fairball. Leopard also can do that. Pretty much lines. And I saw some of her sneezing in the background, so it's probably one of that female that she moved off from here. She do her own business. She'll return back to this very pride again and take it easy until it's cool off. So yeah, these that don't really mind about the tannin, they don't eat actually plants, but they are meat eater, relying on something's got a blood. But, you know, wild is playing its role, which is, of course, green is take place beautifully for these animals to be very well healthy for these animals as a lion to hunt at them. So that's what's pretty much happening. So I'm not sure if when they move from here they're going to head south or they're going to move back north again. But it will happen sometimes since they're too pride not far apart. They'll probably bump on one another. If that happened, then it won't going to be any fight. Each bride will lead its own group somewhere else. So yeah, I'm going to leave this bride here, move on and try to look for something else for you to show. And while we're doing that, I'm going to be sending you to another live safari.
Well, yes, the lions spooked the zebra, and so there was no more hunt. And I decided to move on. I came across this beautiful herd of elephants that are grazing around the central plains of the Mara Triangle. Looks like they're very happy. It's another breeding herd of many females and their youngsters. You can tell there's some very, very young ones. Remember that Kota said, I think the Mara Triangle is a safe haven for females to give birth because there is a lot of young ones recently, and I think they've realized that here everybody is very safe. There is enough food, there is enough water, and so it's a nice place to give birth, and that's why we're seeing lots and lots of young ones everywhere. Big rain coming. I'm sure they're going to love that. Yeah, they usually don't do much. They'll just stay. Look at what she's doing there. Did you see that? She pushed some of the bushes up so that she could get, to the bottom grass that is very rich. This is why I love elephants. They're very smart, and they know if they need to get something that's hidden, those tasks come in very handy. They can debark a tree, dig soils, and here you could see that there was a bush that was pushed. When that elephant moves to the left, you will see that bush was on the ground. She pushed it, and there's a specific kind of either creeper or shrub that she's going for. You see, she's not eating the whole, shrub. So definitely there is something she wanted to get from the bottom. They know that task is a tool and they can use it. Well, that is the new one, I think, in this herd. Very, very small, maybe a couple of months only. And the task hasn't fully developed its muscles. And way they react to the trunk looks like they don't want it because it's not useful. And so sometimes they try to shake it off, and it can be very, very funny. That little guy did try to do that, but he's hiding somewhere behind the bush. That's how tiny he or she is. And so, yeah, that's why it's being hidden by that bush there. Remember to talk to us, #WildEarth. Amot, Jumbo, you want to find out, how much do elephants walk every day? It differs from one area to the other. For specific reasons like water, in arid areas like the Tsavo in Kenya, Mkomazi in Tanzania, the Zulus in Tanzania, in Namibia, where it's very, very dry, if need be, they can walk even 100 kilometers, and that is for a purpose, water. Here in the Mara, there's no need to walk very far. Elephants can walk only about 3 to 4 kilometers in a night. There is water everywhere. There is enough browse, which is leaves, and also grass everywhere, so they don't need to move very far. So, it depends. It's very tricky to give you an exact distance. But if they're in a very arid area, like in Chad, places that are very arid, they can walk very long distances. So I can only answer according to specific areas. It looks like the little guy there has picked up something. What is it? It's coming through there. I don't know if it's us or... Okay, what's up? Being very playful. Yeah, well, they do that. They can be very interesting. Yeah, look at that. He's being very... Yeah. This is the time when they're very playful, and they're allowed to do that because in a few months, when they're no longer drinking, they're starting to eat and there's not enough milk, although they will drink almost to around 2 years. They will be eating more. Their mothers will, deny them to drink. They will not have time to play, and so he or she is allowed to play. Right now, there was an antelope that came out of that bush there, and I think that's what he saw. Then it disappeared. It could be somewhere there. I don't know if we'll see it. Could be somewhere there. No, it's no longer there. I think that's what it saw, but couldn't find out where it was or where it disappeared. Oh, there it is. Yeah, it looks like a reedback. A reedback is a nocturnal antelope. That's a female, and normally they stay put the whole day, only being active, very active only at night. Here, you can tell it's staying still, hoping that nobody will, pick it, and then it's going to lie down and rest until night. They go in small, harems of 1 male, 3 females, and a few fawns, or sometimes a group of 3 males, so you never get to see them really much. It's called the Bohor reedback. Tamara Jumbo, what are those birds flying around the elephants? Well, let's zoom in and take a look. I didn't notice that. That was a white-browed cuckoo that flew there. And let me see those ones there. Is that the one? Well, definitely, I think they were swallows. And they look quite big. So, could be swallow. Yeah, looks like swallows. Could be some barn swallows and mixed with musk swallows or even red-rumped swallows. They look quite big. And I'm quite a distance away. Let's zoom in closer, Bungay. They're flying really fast. Yeah, looks like, they're flying really fast. Where do the swallows nest in the Masai Mara? Well, different places. They could find a hollow tree and build their mud nest there. They could be, a nice rock, and they could build a nest there in the escarpment. We have a few that are nesting in our bathroom. In camp, they've built a muddy nest. Also, they do build their nest in banks of the river, so they differ from one place to the other, but they do build their nest using mud. And believe me, they have very weak legs, so they rarely perch. They only perch on the ground so they can sit onto their stomach. And so everything they build, like the mud, they will collect it by sitting down, but the material they use to line inside the nest is collected, while flying. They'll go to where there's a wild wind that is spiraling all kind of debris. They'll open their mouths and then pick up either feathers and such things to come and line inside of the nest, because they cannot perch to pick up, certain materials. So they do nest in different places here in the Mara. Yes, looks like a different kind of swallows. You can see we have. Well, these are very beautiful sight. I'm loving it, but looks like I might try and beat this rain. It's coming towards me. hopefully I can dodge it. While I do that, enjoy that view.
Talking about insects that the elephants are disturbing, we've been watching this elephant bull feeding for quite a while in generally the same area. And he's only been eating grass. Have a look at him shake that piece of grass before he put it back in. Just have a look at that trunk. So let's look carefully what he does. See, grips around and pulls it off. You see some sand, and then he puts it in its mouth. See, sometimes he's also maneuvering it around. It moves it a little bit on the trunk before he makes the last move of putting it in its mouth. You can see he's completely covered by mud, thick mud on his skin. A little shake again. And have a look, he's so focused on feeding. He's looking straight down. Not doing anything else at this stage. Look, that's a very interesting question. Why do we often not see oxpeckers on elephants? In fact, over here in the Lowveld, I've never seen oxpeckers on elephants. The reason for that, I guess, would be the fact that the elephant can get to them with its trunk. You can see how dexterous it is with that trunk. We look at the way it's gripping that small tuft of grass. If also he's searching around in the patch of grass around him. So, as he would more than likely try to ward off any oxpecker that might come and sit on him. I have seen in East Africa before. In Uganda, I've seen a bird that sat on elephants, a bird called piak, which is a type of crow, if I'm not mistaken. And I have also seen cattle egrets sit on them there. But over here, I've never seen any birds sit on the elephant. Also, they generally tend to move in quite dense, thick bush around the rivers in this particular area. That's where most of the food is. And that might also have quite a lot to do with that. But then again, so do buffalo bulls, and they're often full of oxpeckers. So I don't have any clear answer to your question, to be honest. Other than what I think, which is probably the elephants chasing them off with the trunk. They do take care of their own skin though. They rub up against trees and small bushes, and they also wet themselves with mud. Out here, you can see like this elephant at the moment is quite exposed to the sun, and in order to be able to stand for a long period of time like this, feeding out in the sun, it needs to protect its skin, so it throws a thick mud on it. Often when that mud dries out, parasites get trapped inside, like the ticks, and when it rubs itself up against a rubbing post, it might actually rub the ticks off with that mud. We often find ticks embedded within the mud that's dried along the tree trunks where the elephants have rubbed after they've rubbed there. It's amazing, that jaw has not stopped moving for at least the past 30 minutes odd. Infinite jest. Most trees do not grow back after elephants have destroyed them. In some cases where elephant numbers are extremely high, they do tend to have a massive impact on the vegetation, especially the larger types like the trees within a certain area. And that also differs according to the season. They tend to change their diet as the season progresses, and they tend to go after specific trees. And unfortunately, when they debark them, essentially that's the beginning of the end for a big tree. It's amazing to think that such a large animal is eating such small clumps of grass. I'm wondering at this point, there's an abundance of everything. So I think this elephant literally has the choice of looking for whatever he would like. And you can see he's busy searching through that grass as he's moving. Looking for something very specific.
I'm gonna quickly point something out. I hope this guy stays there. If you look right at the cap of his, or just between the cap and his eye, with this race here, we actually do get the white, where usually the whole head would be black. Something I just learned recent from one of my colleagues, and here it's a very good opportunity to point it out with this guy cooperating. If he turns to the side, you can also see it very, very clear. There we go. A bird of prey that would go for insects and so on, and half the time they would actually also hang them in these thorny trees. First drops of rain. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Just what the Kalahari needs. Quench the thirst. Can see how the cloud cover has come above us. There's Elizabeth, a very, very beautiful bird, and very common with the shrikes to have such colorations with the black and the white. Also with your southern bobo, or your crimson bobo, sorry to say, also showing very bright colors. And look at how he's managed to withstand that wind using the tail. Absolute amazing balance with these birds. So you'll see how they bob their chest and also flinch the tail, and that's just how they all maintain balance like that. But also in the scout for looking for prey. So you'll see everything is at use right now. I mean, too much wind can blow them off also when they fly, so they will try avoid flying too much when it's as windy as what it is at current. Weather is busy pulling in. Oh, oh, we've lost them there. Alrighty, we're going to be moving on there. Still on the hunt for...
Beautiful. So we have left our lion bride lying flat there, and not far, maybe 3 kilometers away, is a herd of buffaloes, but they seems to be moving opposite direction from that side. So now they're moving slightly northwest, and it looks like it's a big herd here. I just done a little bit of off-roading just to get a clear look at them, as they're all trying to surround us completely. Look at the males, females are mixed as normal. This is how form group of breeding herd. In this area, sometimes when the nutritions take place, like greenery, as you can see right now, they all tend to give birth quite a lot. So a lot of them there. They're beautiful with the rising, the background of the sky. So they will be leading away from here. Possibly they will cross the border, northern border, which is, look at this, cows, females, they're young one. And one of the male there. Look at this helmet head on his male, so beautiful. Like balded up. Remember, female, they have normal horn, just like a normal cows that we have at home. Only the difference is that the male, they have balded horn, like kind of form the rock on hair in front of them, that forehead. Only designed for a specific reason, usually to fight against another male, for a dominate. They're the animal that they're not actually territorial. One was a coffin there. They look healthy looking animals to me, as they're all enjoying their grazing around here. They can browse as well, but mainly grasses. They will be happily taking grasses. One of the females, she had an older injured, probably one of the tuberculosis or one of the sepsis disease that they usually have, but once they explode, usually it's just an open wound like this and dried out. Remind of me a while ago, most of the buffalo here were actually highly affected by Amok, good afternoon, welcome to your show. You want to know how big is a buffalo get? So, male would weigh roughly 800 kg, fully grown male. 800, 900 kilogram or kg, and the female 750 kg. That's the average weight for the female. And I know we don't see many of the black rhino here. I would put the size of a bull buffalo as equally sized as a black rhino sometimes. They don't actually grow over a ton at all, but they're a very strong animal. And their general lifespan is anything from 22, 23 years, roughly. And they only occur wherever around, where it's a lot of greenery, grasses, savanna area. And of course, these are not actually forest buffalo. There are savanna or Cape buffalo. Look at the female over here. She's looking at us like that. She's probably doesn't really trust that I'm going to harm you, little girl. There's a lot of them to come right behind her, so she's still okay with that. They all form group, but they're individual behavior sometimes. And I'm gonna leave them, continue on my search, hopefully for anything else. In the meantime, I'll be then taking you to another live safari.
Another beautiful find there. We've got some of the wild colony of meerkats. You can see how inquisitive these fellas are, unlike our more habituated ones. Just at the mouth of their barrow system there, and just gazing at us, wondering what we are and what we are about. Are we a threat? Are we not a threat? A whole lot of things going through their heads there. Very, very inquisitive of our presence. Yep. It's the safest they can be to be around the mouth of the barrow. So if they feel more threatened, you'll see they'll all disappear into the barrow system. Quite a few youngsters also, which is a good thing. Also keep looking up as the weather also starts coming in. Look at that. Quite a big colony. One of the bigger ones that I've seen. Everybody loves meerkats that I know of, at least. It's always a touchy topic when it comes to meerkats. Everybody has that soft spot for them. I think it's maybe because of the behavior that we've developed such a soft spot for these animals, and also their rarity, not being everywhere or not being found everywhere, is also what makes them so special to our hearts. I've at least counted about 14 of them as they ran towards the barrow there. Dylan, can you keep them as pets? A lot of actually meerkat studies have been done by animals being kept in captivity, and that's how a lot of understanding of these animals has happened. So in that case, yes, you can keep them as pets, but remember, they are burrowing animals and very, very sociable. So keeping one won't really do you any good. So you have to kind of keep a colony together, where a colony actually can exist of multiple males, multiple females within that colony, rather than just keeping one as a pet. So if you are thinking of keeping such as a pet, you've got to keep the whole troop as a pet, and that's what would work out and make them sustainable as pets. But just alone, you'd battle. You'll start seeing signs of that animal not being well, or not developing as well as it should be. And they attach very easily also, very easy to habituate or to teach as a pet. Safety all around, looking everywhere. Starting to realize that we're not a threat. More and more of them are starting to come out. See how they bob their head towards us. Actually a little bit more than 14. You're looking at just over, I would say, 30 centimeters standing height. If you take the tail also included, it would be slightly longer than that. I'm not sure what the tail on its own would be. I can try find out for you exactly how long the tail and the body would be for the meerkat. So all in all, I would say take it to about 50-55 centimeters, including the tail, but just the body would be about 30-40 centimeters in length. So you're looking at close to half a meter if you're looking at from tip to tip, head, including the tail. So the tail alone would be a rough estimate about 20 centimeters, 15 centimeters, and also a very important part of their body, because they would use that to actually support themselves when they stand, almost as a third leg. So the tail coming as a support structure from behind, and that's why they can stand as long as what they do. There's a bird calling in the distance, and that just got their attention. It's not a bird of prey though, it's just a simple passerine. See how all the babies are in the barrow and the adults are looking out. Ferry, how old can meerkats get? I would relate back to the question I answered earlier about can they be kept as pets? In captivity, there's records of up to about 12 years. But obviously in the wild, they would not make it to that length of time, just because of things like predation from birds of prey, jackals, snakes, and so on. So in the wild, life expectancy is not the longest, but yes, in captivity there are records of up to 12 years, if not more. There would be a few of them guarding. You'd find on the outposts of the whole colony, they would all stand and take turns to look out. It's not a role that one particular individual has to take by guarding. You also sometimes find one of them actually climbing up a tree or some point of elevation like a termite mound, if there is a termite mound close by, and just looking out while others forage, and they will take turns in doing so, just so that everybody gets a turn to forage safely. Very, very inquisitive, these guys. The hunt for the cheetah is still on, so I'm going to be leaving these guys and let's continue.
Yes, here we are, different area, and we have one of our birds of prey, the secretary bird. This is a bird that nests on trees, and looks like we will be having some chicks over there, because that is a nest where she or he is. Usually when there is an egg, one female will, one adult will look after the egg as much as possible until the other one comes, and then he goes out to feed, mainly feeding on small frogs, dung beetles, spiders, even snakes. They are very good at killing snakes, and they have very thin legs but very, very strong bones, able to stamp a snake as big as, even 3 feet. And naturally, they know that the head carries the poison, so they'll squash it. It is said that they normally cut it off. I've never seen that, but I've seen them crushing it, and then they swallow it whole. That is a tree that very few cats will climb, apart from a leopard, and I don't think it is able to get all the way to the top of that tree. And so it has been specifically selected because it is out of reach for many predators that would eat the chicks or the eggs. Yeah, the secretary bird is a bird that spends a lot of its time on the ground, only going up to the tree to sit on eggs. They pair for life, and their name derives from an Arabic word, sageta, which means hunter bird. Looks like she's interested with something back there. I don't know what it is, but many people have always said that, it's called a secretary bird because the head crest looks like Victorian times secretary's pen holder. You know how it used to look, and also looks like a secretary wearing short black pants, gray half coat, and some makeup on its face. And so it looks like a secretary, going to the office in the morning. Actually, if you see them walking, they're very regal. They're very look like somebody walking on high heels. So that's what they used to say about the secretary bird, but it's not true. It's a different meaning. Its scientific name is Sagittarius serpentarius, which means, bird eating. Snake eating. It's serpents, serpentarius. So it's known for eating snakes. And while on top of tree like that, it can see quite far, up to 5 kilometers easy. And Sarita Jumbo, yes, they're very dangerous. They can scratch you and bite you. Oh no, sorry, just joking. They are not dangerous, but if cornered, I'm sure, just like big bird of prey, they have claws and a beak that is able to tear you. So you don't corner one. To humans, you can never get close to one because they can fly, so they are not dangerous. But if another eagle tried to come and take, let's say, the chicks or the eggs, let's say like a martial eagle, they will defend themselves. So they are dangerous to those other birds. But to us, they are not. And I've never had an experience, where it's close to me, because they're always going to fly if you try to get close. Definitely, this is one of a pair, and it is here because there is an egg that is sitting on while the other one is away, feeding. That is a very heavy rain coming my way. I hope, I don't know how, I don't think I'm gonna hope here because it definitely is gonna hit me. So I'm gonna try and move farther up so I can close down, and hopefully there is something further up here. It's very beautiful even with the rain coming. So I'm gonna take you to our next location, see what they have for us.
Good, thanks so much. And we thought we were gonna get out of this herd of buffalo, but we're just all off on a road. We just waited for them to be able to cross this road, but it looks like they're gonna go down into one of the waterhole, which makes me think of delay on my journey to leave them. So I'm probably gonna just later arrive into that waterhole where they're heading into, just to see how they arrive. It's gonna be beautiful, I think, when all of them just all of a sudden take place in that dam. As you can see, so many of them here. All you see, all you heard is they push one another a lot. You may hear a lot of sound. This is where sometimes it's all about trust when in a group like this, all work together. Even when asleep, they make sure these young ones remain in the middle. As a security, consists of a lot of the big males. Those are the ones that always surround the herd, making sure anything comes, they will deal with it first. And it's much better, I might say, if I was a buffalo, to stick in a group where there's a lot of female, because there's a system where they help each other, pretty much. And if one get caught by lions, there's a chance the rest of them will run back to that area, as long as they can hear distress call, and they'll be able to come back and then help each other very well. See, they're right on the road. Beautiful. Look at them march along the road. As I said, I don't have actually way out of here. It's a beautiful reflection. I mean, we actually facing the western side, where towards the light, but the background light provide a lot of beautiful shining at them. And I'm 100% sure they're gonna surround that water hole in front of us. So a lot of them here, you find those are not actually healthy enough to be able to keep up with this group as they move like this. And those will be the one that they're right at the end, limping, still carrying on, keeping up with the herd over here. But they're not alone, so there's several males that they're also taking care of them at the back. So it's so cool. Cape buffalo, savanna buffalo, they look after one another. Sometimes these young ones, they have to drink, else they might move. Just sneak in from their right, behind, and then take a drink from there, milk. Sometimes there's no time for them to be able to wait. And once they delay to keep up with one another, then they'll separate. separate is going to happen when they get frightened and one run different direction. But if it's nothing like that happen, they will reunite here and then it will form this group. They do communicate. They move like almost like cows. And even these young ones, they can sometimes make calls when they're lost. And it's amazing when the female give birth, where they're all just going to wait for that female to give birth, and baby were able to stand wobbly up in probably 20 minutes. Half an hour, the baby were able to wobble around, follow mother, but they still need a lot of support from the rest. So that female, she won't move immediately far distances. That's why sometimes for them to be able to move, it's not such a reaching. It's all about, safety first. And then once there's a water around, they'll visit this couple of water around here. We talk about water station. It's quite a few where they're heading into. It's quite a plenty of water for them to be able to drink. As I was looking, this is pretty much the end of the group. I was just looking carefully if it's any of them there who will be limping. So I'm gonna move slightly forward towards that dam, and while I'm doing that, I'm gonna be sending you over another live safaris.
Kudu there, looking at something. Hello everybody, back with us on Chitwa. He's got a whole lot of kudu on the dam wall here. Not as camouflaged as you'd normally expect, standing out in the open. Now, Tingana was around the Chitwa Lodge itself the other day. He was actually sort of in the lodge, I believe. So, he's looking straight at something. We're trying to figure out what. Wonderful scenes.
Yeah, Mike.
Out here.
Mike.
Nice fresh breeze blowing across the water. We obviously lost some comms for a moment when we were with Thandi at the end of the show there. And we moved out of the area to make space for the other Djuma vehicles, but we would like to go back to the Lions later, but it seems like Torchwood is quite a busy place this afternoon on Kuhumas and Thandi, so it's possible we might not be able to get on there, but that's okay. We'll work around Chitwa for a little while, see what wonders we can find. Reintroduce ourselves this afternoon, everybody. In case you didn't know who I was, my name is Steve, joined by Morgan on camera, and as always, very excited to have you with us. We're going to spend a bit of time here on Chitwa. Got some hippos just in the water over here doing their thing on their little island, the Croc Island, if you recall that scene with James and the impala that was in Chitwa on that little island, and that croc came out of the water onto the island, and the impala was, if those of you who weren't here, where that tree's standing, when the water level's low, there's actually an exposed island. And when impala get chased by a wild dog, they quite often jump into water and try and swim away. It's kind of like a fail-safe at go-to. Quite a few animals will do that. But the problem is in the water lurks all sorts of dangers as well. And so when James got here, he found a young impala, sodden, obviously had swum, was on this island, and there was a crocodile lurking around the island. And what was amazing is that the crocodile actually came out onto the bank. But that is what triggered it all. The impala decided, with its thin little chopstick-like legs, to dash into the water and try and make the 100-yard swim to the other bank. And the crocodile just eased itself off the island itself and just ploughed through the water. And, the crocodile won the race, and that impala never re-emerged. quite an interesting tale to behold. It's probably 2 years ago already. These hippos probably don't even remember. One of the hippos was in the area very close by and actually went to investigate and started diving towards where the crocodile had gone in with the impala, but we never saw the crocodile or the impala again. If you saw some pictures I posted last night on Instagram, very, very big teeth on these hippos. Very powerful. Got some images of the hippo in Treehouse Dam with his sticks stuck in his mouth. It's quite entertaining, in fact, to watch the behavior. You don't want to be on the wrong end of a hippo in the water. They move incredibly fast. We were talking about it over breakfast, actually, and we went back and had a look at a video of a hippo chasing a speedboat, probably in Okavango or something like that. And unbelievable how fast these things can move through the water. They might not look like it, but they can really motor when they want to. Distant sounds of the red-chested cuckoo. And the wind is now picking up. Coming from the north. Okay, well, we're going to scan the banks of the water here a moment longer, and then we might move off.
We came across this rock monitor as we were busy following the tracks of a female leopard that was on top of some vehicle tracks from this morning. And followed it down in towards the riverbed, and we came across this guy. Now, he's climbed up that tree. He was attacked by a brown-hooded kingfisher. And it looks like he's looking for something inside there. It's quite an awkward position he's found himself in. Look at him anchored with his hind legs. You can see even the tail is trying to grip on. A rock monitor like this is an excellent tree climber. This one is actually quite relaxed. Normally they're very, very nervous and they tend to run away at the first sight or sound of a vehicle. I'm not sure exactly why or what he is looking for, or she is looking for in that hole. Might also be just a spot to rest. But if it's rest it's after, then it's certainly chosen a very odd position to do so. And if we zoom out a little bit, you see how well that animal blends in. And it's a pretty big tree as well. It's actually amazing seeing one of these things scale up a tree like that. You wouldn't think so when you see it. It looks quite slow and unmaneuverable when it's on the ground, and then it does these amazing feats. Now, an old tree trunk like this, when it gets hollowed out, in a section like that where it looks like maybe long ago a big branch broke off, you often find that there's smaller reptiles, even birds' nests, and reptile eggs, sometimes geckos, and things hiding in there. Especially on a hot day like today, that would be a perfect spot to go and seek some shelter in the shade. Maybe that's what this monitor might have been thinking, trying to look there. Or maybe that's what it's actually doing, it's just trying to hide from the heat. It was very interesting to see the brown-hooded kingfisher, and it kind of mobbed it for a little while. In fact, it flew straight at the head of the monitor, and that made the monitor stick its head inside the hole like this. That means that this little bird is very aware of what this creature is capable of. And I think maybe it was a warning just to try and ward it off. And by doing so also try and protect a possible nest that might be nearby. Just look at those toes and the back legs hanging on there. It's almost like his neck is bent back completely. Look very carefully. You can see the eye blink every now and again. You can see it breathing. Look at the tongue moving in and out. And the tongue's a very acute sense organ, picking up on any chemical traces of something that might be in the air. They certainly do. They will look for a nest of a bird that's unprotected high up a tree or in a hole like this, and if they find any eggs, they'll eat it for sure. They are very adaptable. Oof, just look at that. How amazing is that? See it balancing itself out with the tail. And let's see what it does. Let's see if it goes up higher onto the tree. It might have also been that was maybe just a very odd position and took quite a lot of effort from this monitor's side to get into that hole, and actually it's going to make sure to check out the whole tree. And we do find on hot days, today was a real scorcher. When it cools down later in the afternoon, areas around riverbeds are actually very, very active with reptile life. I'm sure this monitor was laying basking earlier, and when it got too hot, decided to move to the shade of the riverbed. And that's why we can see it's got quite a bit of energy at the moment. Ooh. I don't know what happened there. It looks like something pestered them. Good question, Sassy Cassie. What animal eats this monitor lizard? Well, there's a lot actually. I've seen quite a few animals eat it. Even a rose eagle owl. But martial eagle, the other day we actually saw a honey badger kill and eat one. On occasion the cats does as well. The leopard, the lion, young lions are particularly good at scratching out unsuspecting creatures like this monitor out of the tall grass often. And if they do, they'll try and kill it. What an unbelievable area this is. Very small, dry riverbed running into the Timavati. Minamu, do lizards spit acid? This rock monitor certainly doesn't. Personally, at this point, I am not aware of any animals or any lizards that do actually spit acid. I do know that there are lizards that does have venom glands that run along the jawline, like the Komodo dragons, and their bite can be venomous. And they also carry a lot of bacteria. And then I've also read about some reptiles like large lizards regurgitating their food to ward off predators. But spitting acid, I guess acid in that sense, maybe some stomach acids, but this monitor definitely doesn't. And it's interesting to see, I don't see him at the moment. There was a little bird there, and it looks like the bird was going up and down, so maybe the monitor is still around. And maybe that bird was pestering it, trying to ward it off. But at this point, it could be going down any side of the tree, and if it does, and it goes to the back, away from our side, and disappears into the grass, then there's no way we'll be able to follow this monitor. I don't see anything at the moment, not even a claw or a tip of a tail dragging around this branch. I think what we might do is maybe we'll try and reposition a little bit and then see if it might be on the other side of this trunk.
Beautiful. So we decided, so sorry about that, we couldn't actually get to those buffalo there. They were very much lower down and there was no feed for us. So I'm going to continue, search around. Hopefully we get either a shedulu on the move or leopards around or elephants. That's actually, it's going to be the plan for now. Back into Gari, and this is where we're going to be searching on the western side of Gari. Well, I understand, and now it's settling down, so it's cooling off. Animal, though, will be very much slightly on move as bet. And as you can see, some of the, just looks like a young impalas. Just going to stop here just to see what this impalas seen, because sometimes you may drive past them, meanwhile there is a cat behind them. So it's always about checking what is around these prey species. Impala, they're one of a, let's say not vulnerable, but they are kind of a medium source for most dangerous animal, your carnivore species, from lion to leopard, cheetah, those kind. And of course, in the packs of hyena or surround, they're so quick enough to get away for sure. But, you know, always these lions or leopards, they use their own technique, you know, they go down very much and they wait enough for that animal to get any closer to that cat, and then that's going to be an easy target otherwise. But, you know, one thing for sure, you can tell if there's anything threatening them, there will be a lot of noise they will be making. And one thing for sure, you know, there's got to be something happening around here. Once you stop, you know, they can give alarm call, even as kids. Good afternoon. You want to know what is an average lifespan for impala? So anything from 13, 18 years roughly. But yeah, they don't get up to 20 really, more especially in the wild, where they are, you know, since we were talking about the medium source prey species, where most of the other carnivore looking at them as a quick meal, medium source. So they either getting killed or sometimes happens some animal die of their own, just the natural disease take places. They got choke, died, get snake bite, died. Or during that run for a long time, you know, you get running for a long time, you talk about wild dogs, these are one of the creature or successful hunter where you found impala, they're fast enough to get away from the dog, but the thing is that the dogs don't actually give up easily. They will keep on a target for, many over kilometers until that target is tired, and then usually fall off, and then you're just going to go finish it off. This is the wild dogs now. So in this kind of thicket like this, I wouldn't actually expect to see anything like a cheetah, because it's covered. Cheetah won't hunt in this kind of area like that because it's very covered. Beautiful moon. Look at that. So I'm gonna move on my journey. As I say, I'm looking around for a leopard possibly. As I do that, I'm gonna be then taking you to another live safari.
Welcome back to Chitwa, and welcome to the beginnings of a new moon, or should I say a full moon. It's the 28th of October today. The next full moon is on the 31st. Would be called the Hunter's Moon, and actually a blue moon, everybody, because it is the second full moon of the month. We already had one on the 1st of October. That is what constitutes a blue moon. If you've heard the saying, once in a blue moon, means when there's 2 full moons in a month. And it will be on Halloween of all times. Might be able to still just hear the fish eagles in the distance and some Cape turtle doves. How funny, if you were watching earlier, that Cape turtle dove came down to land and Tundi did a jump, a 180 jump in the air on the rock. I thought that was rather splendid. So they call it a hunter's moon because this time of year, both humans and animals alike should be stocking up on food in preparation for a long winter ahead. Obviously, that's for the northern hemisphere. And obviously a lot of the lunar and astrological stuff that we talk about, a lot of it's come from northern hemisphere. As mentioned before, blue moon, because of 2 in 1 month. It won't actually be blue. I always thought that as a youngster. I heard there's a blue moon. I saw my first blue moon. I was very disappointed, and then I found out it's just the second full moon in a month. But interestingly enough, the full moon approaching, this hunter's moon, will actually be, and I don't know how they measure it, scientists and mathematicians are quite interesting in that way, will be the smallest full moon of the year, a so-called mini moon, as it will be the furthest away from the Earth than any full moon this year. I think it's quite interesting. It's opposite of the supermoon, of course, is when the moon is as close as possible. It seems to be much bigger in the sky. But it's actually just all to do with the orbit of the moon, the oval shape orbit around the Earth, which results in it being a little bit further away. Also known as the perigee and the apogee. Nice things we learned back in level 1. But I challenge all of you to try and measure the full moon in 2 days to see if it will indeed be 3 days, will indeed be smaller. I doubt it will even seem that. Okay, we're going to spend another moment and maybe we'll get Morgan to howl at the moon.
So, we are currently in the Timbavati riverbed, where you can see it's cooled down quite a bit. The shade has pretty much covered almost the whole riverbed at this point, and this is the time of the day which I think is probably the best when you're looking for leopard. So it's been a very hot day, and during the middle of the day the cats including the leopard, would have probably been laying down and trying to cool down in the shade. In fact, that's probably one of the best things about looking for leopard on a hot day, is to the fact that you get to move in shady areas. So we're driving slowly along the sand here, checking very, very carefully. There's a lot of animal game trails coming down from the bank, and I'm just making sure that we're not missing any of the tracks at this point. How beautiful is that tree? And you can see everywhere the banks. Now, if you look very carefully, you'll notice there's some game trails coming down. Now, not far from where we are, just up on the road off to my left, this morning one of the other guides had a look for leopard in this area. And they didn't actually manage to find one, but they had tracks here. And where he drove, we found some female leopard tracks right on top of his tracks, and she was moving from out of a dry riverbed that runs into the Timbavati. Now, the roads in this area have got very, very rocky soil, and it's extremely difficult to actually be able to see the physical paw print of the animal. So in this case, we have to go with what we know about this specific leopard and her behavior and the areas that she moves in. Now, initially this morning it started out, they had 2 sets of tracks, which was the mother and her cub. But the tracks that we saw looked like it was only one animal. So there's also a chance that maybe she dropped that animal somewhere, left it in a dry riverbed, and decided to move off and go hunting. Ooh, and there is a very large elephant bull in the riverbed. Now, what that elephant bull's doing at this point is, I'm sure it's drinking from one of the puddles that's formed. You can see there's a large cliff face just off to the direction that the elephant is facing in, and I'm pretty sure that that cliff face leaves a rock bed underneath that actually stops the water from filtering through into the sand. And these puddles, this is where that leopard's been moving. They don't have to drink a lot of water regularly, and I'm pretty sure that she was moving around this area and that water would be sufficient. So as we move through this area, I think for now we'll probably stop here, have a look at that elephant bull first before we continue. And this is quite interesting. The elephant bull we had earlier on, initially I thought when I had a look, I saw the secretions from the temporal glands, and that bull didn't look like it was in must. But once it came closer, I noticed that it definitely did have a dribble from the penile sheath. And he was most definitely in must. Where this bull, this one is quite far off, and at this point I can't really say. It doesn't look like he's in must. You can see he's basically just feeding off the grass that's growing in the riverbed.
We've got some greater kudu coming over the dune there. It looks like young boys and a slightly older male closer towards us here. But a very interesting thing, if you look at our kudu here, the greater kudu, concentrating on the horns there, Dave, if I can ask you to go a little bit closer. There we go. You'll see how these horns actually spiral and twist and make almost like a cylindrical hole amongst them. But also a very interesting thing with the kudu that you do find in the Kalahari here, the horns tend to go wide and they spread wide. And a lot of there's been a lot of debate about as to why would these kudu have such wide angle. And part of the notion of why such a widespread in these horns is very simple. If you look at the landscape of the Kalahari, it's quite open, not a lot of tall trees, and you'd find with the denser areas, these kudus would actually have a slighter, narrower spread of the horns, and obviously that comes to tell us that with denser areas, then the kudu kind of adapts so that the horns are not too widely spread. But also remember, when these guys actually browse, because they are browsers, meaning that they would eat from trees also, sometimes they would actually use those horns to actually snap off branches or twigs so that they can get to the foliage that they want to get. Good contrast there with some gemsbok also in the background there. Just doing what the other gemsbok was doing earlier, getting heat. So just standing there and getting as much heat before the afternoon. These antelopes are very majestic and beautiful, Rosemary, the kudu. I mean, look at how it's striped to break up the whole body structure and blend in with the vegetation, and hence it will have these kind of stripes on its body. It's just everything just for the survival. It's survival, 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 survival. Everything comes to that. If it's not necessary to possess, then get rid of it. It's just how Mother Nature operates. Very beautiful. We also have an ostrich coming from our left there. Also getting into our frame, so they seems like this is almost like a gathering place, one species of animal after the other. So let's see what else pops into our frame here. I mean, we started with a kudu, and now everything is just seeming to be coming together here.
Beautiful, what a luck, privilege to meet this beautiful, looks like a Tingana thing to me. Just gonna walk right close to our vehicle here. Got a call from the Galago camp, that leopard drinking. And as we got in here, he's actually down, but he's gonna move now west. Trying to keep up with him. Still got a visual, but he's just right behind our vehicle, so I'm gonna give him a bit of a time. There's quite a lot of birds already saw him. As you can hear, they're all yelling at the background. As you know, sometimes when in the bush, birds can warn you if it's a danger out there. Just now listening. He looks hungry to me for sure. Which is even an opportunity around here for him to get would be a bush bark or a nyalo or any chance of impalas running around here. That it will be taken. He will be really on hunt for those. Beautiful tails curl up. See the tip white end of it. Use those for usually communications. Especially female when she lead the young ones. They all follow right to the end. So everyone let me, sorry about it. I'm gonna just try and reposition while we do this. Looks like he's gonna go right to the top of the mound. We'll get him on front so you get a view of the sun shining at his face. I think it's gonna be a good chance. I'm sure he's right on top of that mound. So there's a lot of chance I might actually have to enjoy him peacefully. Mound give a lot of them cats a chance to see far enough, because this is what they always need, you know. They need to see what's around them, just like lions. When it's cool in the day, they were able to hunt, and when it's cloudy, same thing, they would hunt. Sure. I'm trying to do a big loop here because it's all logs. I don't want to block his view. So big loop, so we got him on front. Just see his face as well. Sure. Get around here. It's gonna be nice. It's gonna be nice, beautiful reflection there as we got in there. I'm gonna reposition, but while I'm doing this, let me take you to another live safari.
Fine coriacea. So we found this elephant as he moved around the bend. We're in a big bend of the riverbed, and there's not a lot of wind blowing here, so it's actually considerably hotter since it's getting this late afternoon sun on this part of the bend. And I saw this elephant was flapping its ears the whole time, and it's just finished drinking from a small hole that it dug in the sand of the riverbed. And you can see now that he's moving back up on the bank, he might slow down to start feeding again. It's a bit of a fart I hear coming from him there. And you can see there's some wet sand on the flank of the elephant just behind the ear. And it's still flapping at ears because of the heat. And this is a pretty amazing spot within the riverbed here. There's quite a lot of life around, not in terms of large animals, but there's a bit of water off to the side behind that elephant. You can see that wall of green tall trees. And then another curious little creature that's been flying around up above us is a palm swift. And in this particular section of the riverbed, we actually happen to have one of the tallest palms, if not the tallest palm on Ngala. It is a southern lala palm, and I know that in that palm tree these palm swifts are nesting. So if you want to see a palm swift, this is usually a good spot for us to come to. And usually it's very odd to see such a tall one here on Ngala. It must have been one the elephants have missed over the years, because most of these ones get cropped down. There's many of them growing within the riverbed because this is not a constantly flowing river. And to have one as big as that in this area is quite unique. You can see the moon way up there in the distance as well. And some late afternoon sun. And we were hoping that within this section, you can see right over there, there's the moon. What a beautiful view of it. It's pretty spectacular. I'm sure a moon as full as that one is at the moment, will probably make hunting a little bit more trickier for animals like that leopard we were looking for, or that we're still looking for actually. Now, I'm really hoping that in this particular section we might find some tracks at least, or some signs, because this is where we had the tracks earlier up on the road running along the bank of the river.
Thanks. Yep, hope we get right there. So we're trying to reposition here for this beautiful Tingano. And then he's lying right on top of the mound. I think that's what suited him in there. He loved it so much, but he can't stop looking around. I mean, he was facing too much in the west. And it's cool because he just drank water at the Galago Pan. So for him now is to carry on. I'm just gonna see here, maybe he's on so much of scenting marking or just on hunting, because it's one of the two movements they do, usually territory reactivation, also hunting, or both at the same time. But if it's one of those territory scent marking or reactivating some of the scent over here, you're probably gonna contact for us. And all you see on front of him there, it's a piece of grass. I think he's breathing towards it, and it was like kind of like every now and then when he take a breath. But he's looking away now. It's probably because of they're very good on. You have a good eyesight. You can see something far in that height. And a big male leopard like this, it's easy for him. You could kill him, kudu. But you won't hoist it up in a tree, but you can able to bring it down, feed from the ground. Warthog's going to be hunted as well as even a foal, zebra foal. That size of a male will take it down. Size of a young wildebeest will be also be killed. So he had a lot of chance to actually get on. But not only that, they don't have to focus on this big game. If it's nothing, then they still rely on something small like a dwarf mongoose, and birds as well. These spare fowls around here, guinea fowls as well, any type of birds a leopard can take. When you do that, it's amazing jump to trying to catch those up in his halfway off the ground. Yogeshwar, good afternoon, welcome to your beautiful show. Yes, they do fight quite a lot, especially this male you see is already far independent, very big male, so the fight only takes place when they're already independent, fighting for a food. And for example, there's a Tlalamba around here, which is Tlalamba, it's actually offspring for this male. So every time if she had a kill around here, he would push in too much because he has a lot of power to feed on that kill of hers. And that's where the fight sometimes take place. But maybe she won't fight. She was just going to be unhappy but give space for him. But of course, they can steal from one another. There's a lot of fight. And that, food source things, it's even better because this is when now, territory overlap, where he find himself on other males' territory, but this is all about hunting. But then he kills something, hoist it up in there, and he won't drag it off that ground. And then he's just going to probably feed there until it's done. It happens, he get caught while he does that, which is, it's not right for him. And then it's going to be growl taking place, depending now who is strong in there. As he started the trouble getting onto somebody's ground, you're probably just you're gonna growl, stay far apart, but the growl is going to continue probably for a long time until someone move off. And yeah, they do fight for meat for sure. Even those are not related, even they're related, they do fight for meat. Leopard, they don't really share, they kill, especially only when the female have a babies, which they still underage, still support them in terms of hunting for them. That, then she can hunt for them and able to feed them. But you see, every time they in the position of a kill, if there are two cubs, twin we're talking about, and there's a feeding order where they will take turns between these cubs. So eventually, once all of them have taken turns, mother will go. So this is what they learn from that young age. And then from there, since it works better that way, they're not actually form group. They don't really form group like the lions, which is so proud lying down there. So they are very solitary animals, where you found even when she leave these cubs go hunt from one another, these cubs are also sometimes separate or lost from one another. One move far away and go drink, not to come back at the very same hour. Mother returned back to the area where she left them. She only maybe find one. And then she would contact for sure, just to make sure everything's okay. If that one doesn't actually respond to a call or maybe are still out of reach, then she'll probably take that one single cub back to the kill. And then later on, she will come back, look for the other one, or delay to go back there until she found out what happened to the other one. And they do that just because of they are solitary. So they grew up with this kind of situation where they won't get used to be together as a group. For sure, when you see a fully grown male or more than one, it's all about mating. Male checking status on female, or then two females trying to push one another off ground or somebody's ground, or male fight over a tall tree where they just, now the competition challenge take place where somebody has to show the strength, the weakest must get out. This is where you see two of them sometimes. But this is a usual way of viewing the leopard, especially big male like this, on his own. And they're also very silent hunter. Their foot structure, it's all covered with heavy hair on us, all surround of their foot. And then every time they move, it's provide very silent. They don't actually make a lot of noises. And apply the same when they hunt. Everywhere they step, the first leg would actually step on the ground, but carefully, and the other one would exactly go the very same spot. So they're trying to make sure that they're not actually making a lot of noise there. A key for them to hunt also, they don't have to chase for such a long time. They're well known as stalking. They actually use advantage of this type of mound if there's a prey species around, or a use chance of tall grasses, and they will trying to crawl along that, crawl down and making sure that there is no certain movement. Otherwise, the prey species also, they're well alert. Also, if they ever hear anything like that, they will be so much worried, they will concentrate on that direction until they found out what happened. So that's why when it's too windy, it works better for lions, leopard, because then, the prey species get disturbed so much by the wind, and sometimes they will run for something, they're not too sure about. Maybe they run where there's a direction of danger because now they're confused. So maybe found out where they're running into the leopard waiting, and eventually one is a target is down. So I seen a leopard kill 2 prey, but not at the same time, but it was hosted in the same tree. A different species was impala and a grey duiker. And that female, she's no longer around. Her name was a white cloth. An older leopard. I managed to witness her lifespan. She actually died when she was anything from 16 years back in the days. So for them able to kill, it's not all about wasting. They kill, but they would make sure they finish what they have killed. So I'm gonna wait here. I'm gonna stay put while I'm sending you to another live safari. Sorry about that. You know, I'm still in this position of this beautiful leopard, but it's just now closing his eyes. But, you know, their ears, the hearing, it's active even they do that. They still hear well. Anything will surprise them. You will see that leopard will raise his head. If they notice whatever it is close by, and they were probably going to jump and take a look around. That's going to be a serious threat then. And many times they get tracked down by the trackers, and they get used to sometimes by human far away, not close by. I'm going to stay put here again while I'm sending you to another safari live.
Some spotted thick knee there in the distance. The name has changed from deck cop to thick knee. So everything about this bird seems to be thick. A beautiful also horizon just above us, and that's what has actually kept us mobile and moving most of the afternoon. Obviously the Kalahari is rarely as cool as what today has been, and with the cats that we are trying to find, such weather then becomes top-notch for them, if I can call it that, in the sense that they can move a lot more, and they can actually hunt better, giving them more hours to hunt. Because remember, your cheetahs are actually diurnal, so they'll avoid actually hunting at night unless there is maybe a full moon or it's light enough that they can actually hunt and take advantage of night. But predominantly they would hunt during the day. So with the temperatures as cool as what today is, with a temperature of about 22 degrees, this gives them a very good chance. A crimson-breasted boba there also adding to our shrike list there. And the crimson, obviously, you can denote, comes from that bright red chest, referring to the color, the crimson. And also both male and female sharing the same kind of color. There we go. another bird, crowned lapwing. We're doing very well. It looks like this is a bird's corner, crowned lapwing there. Also a ground nesting bird, Cape turtle dove. Wow, we're doing very well. Back to the crowned lapwing there. They would actually nest on the ground, and with making little twigs and sticks on the ground, they'll protect that nest with everything they have. Dive bombing if they have to dive bomb bigger animals that they can not really wear off. And if it's a predator of some sort like a jackal, you'll find sometimes they would actually display a broken wing and pretend as if they injured just to lure the jackal closer to them. As the jackal gets closer and closer, you'd see they'll just wait for the very, very last moment and actually take off. And these are just survival strategies of these birds and making it out here in the bush. But also very interesting, look at how the head is formed, making that crown, and also how the name got to be. But also think about, why would the head be like that? If you're looking at from behind or looking from the front, it looks the same, especially when there's distance involved. And that's what the advantage of that crown is with this bird. A very interesting bird indeed. Long red legs there, obviously using them for exactly what he's doing now, soaring around and walking around there, finding food. This would be the perfect time to start looking for things like beetles, termite mounds. There's been a bit of a moisture in the soil, and that's why these birds would be in these open patches looking for things to feed on. There we go, got something. Yogashua, do forest animals differ in behavior to desert animals? In the sense of survival, yes, different adaptations for different habitats. That would be the difference, but in the principle of adaptations, it would be one thing. I don't know if that makes sense. I'll repeat it. In the principle of adaptations, both would each have their own adaptations, but the adaptations themselves would differ in the sense that the desert or the arid areas would be very warm, very open, and very dry, whereas your forest, in most cases, you've got your canopy almost at all times, very thick, very lush, and very humid also. So both species from those different terrains would have to look at that. I mean, this is how barren and open the Kalahari can be, where in the forest you will never almost find a space as open and as exposed as this. Just those two elements coming together. I mean, look at the sun. Probably now one of the fewer times where we've actually seen the sun today here in the desert. Very, very beautiful. Look at that golden color. Cape turtle dove in the distance there calling.
Welcome back, everybody. The lions are on the hunt. There's a zebra. If you're not ready for this sort of thing, look away. Don't watch if you don't like these sort of things. Lions are not always successful. But we found them, north of where we left them this morning. So, disclaimer for sensitive viewers. The lions are going out in style, left and right. The zebra seemingly does not know. It's on its own. Oh, it's had a feeling. It's had a feeling and it's moved off. There's another zebra coming, running in this direction. So there's always more than one zebra. They move in a single file sort of line often. There you go, their alarm calling now, the zebra. Can you hear that? The lions weren't patient enough there. They were all flat. Suddenly a zebra came walking close and one lion started stalking. They all reacted and I think they were a little bit overzealous in their approach. And now they've been spotted and they're all going to come back and lie down. But I'm going to move forward an inch or two and we'll be able to frame up this beautiful tree in the background with the setting sun. And the lions will come and lie right here in front of us on this glorious afternoon. We were a little bit concerned because we finally got back. How's that, sir? Tell me when you got the tree there. Good. We were a bit concerned because you came back and the lions had moved. So I suddenly thought, oh no, we're going to have to put a lot of effort to track them. Did a big loop around the block. And, well, we came back again and we just went in a bit further north from where they were. They'd moved a little bit further. So I'm just going to be quiet for a moment and as the lions start to settle again, allow you to just enjoy. Starts with a bit of grooming, a toilet break, followed by some yawning and some stretches before the lionesses get up and start moving. Now, will they take us back to the cubs or will they go towards Buffelshoek Dam for a drink, which is in the north? That's the wind was coming from the north. It's now completely gone. All the wind that was around has just died off. So now the lions are going to have to rely on hearing and smell, or sight, if they're going to catch any food. So it's very possible that they might just start moving, and the direction might be towards the cubs. But I think they definitely have food on the mind. The Unkuhuma pride, for those of you who were not aware, Kyle, I think they sleep pretty much the same winter or summer. Their activity periods are still similar sort of times, when they're hungry and in the coolness. So in winter, the only difference in winter is that they can probably be more active in the day than they would be in the summer, actively doing things in the daytime, whereas in the summer, because it's so warm, they're very inactive. But I still think they get the same amount of sleep, regardless. So if they're busy in the winter day for a little bit, they'll just sleep a bit more that night. Oh, there's Amber Eyes showing us how pretty she is. Oh, there we go. So it's anywhere from 20 to 21 hours a day they'll sleep. But it's all about the temperature. Temperature can really change their behavior. And you can get very nice cool days, even in summer, when it's very overcast and it's raining. And lions can be active in those days. It's all about energy conservation. But when temperatures are really, really warm, most cats are very inactive. I was actually quite surprised to have seen Tundi as active as she was. She is feeding too at the moment, so she's probably got her work cut out for her. Okay, this one's going to come and do a bit of a head rub. Going to say hello, ladies. You first. And then second. Oh. That's a tactile, touching communication we're talking about. Close-knit individuals. That's one of the youngsters. She's an adult now. Pale eyes. And the grooming is underway. Getting themselves ready to go out on the town this Wednesday evening. Bless you. Flies are bothering these individuals. Look at those teeth, everybody. The lions, leopards, regarded, some people say, starvation resistance, to the point where they can go for about a week, 2 weeks. 2 weeks before they really start to get affected. And then anyway, after 2 weeks, it really starts to affect them negatively. So they will hunt regularly, but they can go for periods without food. And it does happen sometimes, but they do eat a lot more than we think. You don't often find them on... The only time you really find them on a kill is when it's big and substantial. There's lots of smaller animals that get eaten along the way. So because they can go for a period of time without eating doesn't mean that they choose to. The hungrier they get, the more effort they will put in. And when there's lots of food around, they're not as hungry and they don't put as much effort in. And so you might find them, you see the claw sticking out over here, Morgan, this one on the left. You can see that the pressure on the dew claw, not dew claw, but one of the toenails, has got it pushed out there. Look at that claw, everybody. Oh, look at them. Protractile. So when the muscles and ligaments flex, they come out for grabbing. Now, one of them actually lurched onto a giraffe this morning. Giraffe was going as fast as I've ever seen a giraffe go. And it just battered all of these lions out the way. And one actually jumped up and sort of caught the giraffe on the flank. But it was going so fast that it wasn't able to hold on. That would be quite a wild ride if it did. I don't think we'll be seeing that giraffe again for some time. So when they're very full and they've eaten a lot, they might still look at food if it's tempting. But if the energy required to get up and go after the food is too much, they will weigh up the options and not feed. But when they're really hungry, they'll be far more active than when they're full. And when they're full, they spend a lot more time sleeping and resting. So they really do get a lot of sort of desire to go eat. And once they got food, well, then there's no need to do much. They can just sit for a while. Okay, well, we're going to spend time with these nkuhumas and see if they get up and do anything exciting.
Hey, yours. All right, beautiful. So he's still there. Now we can see how flat. And he just put his head now in one of these green grasses right in front of him. So we can't see his face properly right now. But there's going to be another vehicle or two vehicles coming to join here and coming to the same sighting. It hasn't been much of a leopard happening in terms of the sighting this afternoon. So everyone, look at his eyes right there. It's one of the eyes opened and now it's closed again. For leopards, same to a lion. Sometimes when they're on the move, they have a lot of time to spend, lie down, and they have a lot of time sometimes to move. This is where they now focus on the hunting. He's probably on the hunting, but now he's just taking it easy, hoping for anything you could see around here. But he paint as well, so not that he's full stomach, which when I look at him doesn't look like he's eaten at all. And this is a sign that's probably John Wills Motoring. Good evening to your show, live show. So, I mean, leopards is my favorite, and for sure, I don't have a problem with leopards. Cats usually, leopards are so cool. But I'm kind of like picky sometimes. I put sometimes impalas if I have to put my really favorite animal. Leopards are so cool, the way they do. And I just like the way they are. They don't really share especially when they have a kill. We were talking about that. They don't really like to share. And they don't really like that. In terms of cooperate, it's not happening on them. So that sometimes can worry us because they are hunt individual. They'll hunt alone. This hunting, when it fails, or sometimes happened, that leopard is limping or cannot able to move, then nobody can hunt for him or her. It's the only thing that worry me, but otherwise, I just like that there's no kind of a sharing in terms of your food. And that I think it's great, and I wouldn't like to share, especially with somebody that I don't know. He's up again. So that's what's part of me understanding about the leopard. Look at his eyes. So sorry, we just joined by another vehicle here. Family. So Tingana, he kind of like dominating at the moment, but these days he pushed too much far north. He's been seen quite a lot in Beverly Souk. But there's another males up there in Hlangula. Richard, good evening. Welcome to your beautiful live show. Yes, there's other male around in this area. So Tingane, as we're looking at this beautiful male leopard right now, there is on a far west of here, there's a hukumuri, which he also sometimes find himself far in this middle of or half of Juma we're at right now. And there is a male of his name called Imlowati, which I haven't actually had time to meet him, but I heard he's around. And course, that Hlangula, actually, I haven't seen him this far in Juma. So, but these three, Mlawati and these Tingana and Hokumuri, they're more likely to share, boundary, or he might actually been in the challenge of where now he's trying to be pushed off somehow by that Mlawati. When that happened, it will be just because of, the territory. If he ever loses that, you're probably just going to move off. A lot of time, size-wise, it gives a lot of chance for these cats to be able to, win their battle. Because that challenge sometimes, it can carry on. It takes a lot of a month before somebody lost a fight. Then there's another quarantine male, but he's now probably far at Kruger Park, in Koro, that side, moving in and out in that area. He's also a beautiful male, but he never come this far because he was born around here. Quarantine, son of Karula, and the father was Mvula. So I'm going to take another time here. I know there's a lot of cow coming here. If it happened, I don't stay here. It's just because of that. I have to make space for the others. But I would like to take another moment to have a look at him. While I'm doing that, I'm going to be taking you to another live safari.
Well, thanks, Andrew. We are still with the Pride, the 7 lionesses of the Nkuhuma Pride. There's been a little bit more grooming going on, and I feel as if there's imminent movement from a couple of them, but we shall see. Flies are definitely an annoyance this time of year. They start to increase. I wonder if the lions know that the buffaloes they follow constantly, and the dung the buffaloes leave behind are the homes of all the flies, many of them anyway. Yeah, you want to know if lionesses get menopause. Now, I think there's definitely a breeding age that they will stop breeding at, but I've not come across it. I mean, Purple Eye, she had cubs last year, and she's one of the oldest lionesses in the Pride. I think there's definitely some sort of hormonal change as they get older, but I'm no expert in that regard. No doubt someone on the chat stream will be able to send through a quick little answer. It's probably been discussed before. But all the females currently are at breeding age. Even the youngsters have come into estrus at least once, I believe. If not, that will be shortly. Definitely saw one of the evoker males getting a little bit angry with a female yesterday, or with each other yesterday, over the proximity to one of the females, but yet they're not with them today. I wonder why that is. I wonder if the 8th lioness joined up, and if she's come into estrus, and if they've decided she's not so bad after all, and now they're hanging out with her. We went and spent a little time to try and find where they'd stashed the cubs, and thinking maybe the males were there as well, but we were unsuccessful. To have the nose of a lion, be able to track them by putting my nose in the ground. Quite an amazing thing to see, how they can find each other. You lose your your friend, and you just start smelling until you find them again. Takes it to a whole new level. I wonder if once upon a time we had a sense of smell so acute. Okay, well, as the sun sets in the west, the alarm clock has gone off and it is time for the lions to get up.
Blackback jackal just coming out there from the shrubs. Looks very full. Must have had something in the proximity. Just came for water. There's a dam close by here, so we're gonna search the area and see what this guy actually fed on. Look at that, almost looking like a piñata. Also very beautiful sunset also here at the Tswalu Kalahari. You can see the orange there coming in, the rays reflected by the clouds, the golden tinge there. Wow, beautiful. I always say there's nothing better than an African sunrise or sunset. Very, very beautiful. Jackal still looking for something, milling about in the area. So that's always a good sign, especially that we've been looking for also the cheetahs around here. So that could be an indicator that maybe the cheetahs were lucky with something during the day. So we'll keep scanning around here. Kyle, what is the difference between a jackal and a fox? Shoo, interesting question. A jackal, to my knowledge, is more of a canid, meaning dog-related animal, whereas a fox, especially the foxes we get in Africa, they're more a distant relative of a canid, meaning that they would eat more insects and half the time be omnivorous, meaning that they could also eat fruit at times. So that's the major difference between the two. Beautiful with a shepherd's tree there. Nice movement. All the birds advertising before the sun goes down, just making sure that all the others know that their presence is there. It's just communication saying we're still here, the territory is still mine, and they would do the very same thing again in the morning. Hence they do that all the time, morning and evening.
Beautiful. What a nice sunset watch. I mean, such a beautiful. So our Tingana leopard hasn't yet able to move right now. But, you know, but I think any time he will move. Because when we get here, he was moving. And this is how the guys saw him. I'm sure he's going to do that. Well, sometimes I've seen leopard spend a lot of time. They do sometimes kind of like very strange behavior that you wouldn't know sometimes. Spend a lot of time enough in one area. Especially today, the temperature has risen too much. Now he's just kind of listening around. And I seen leopard kill grey duiker and host it. And they move off, carry on, and they never returned. So, and we keep visited that area where the duiker was hosted up for 3 days. Leopard didn't return. So it happens sometimes when they hunt. You find they're really on a mission sometimes to get to somewhere. Because sometimes these territorial things can delay them, or sometimes they can be faster on getting to somewhere where there hasn't been. And all they worry is that maybe the chemical haven't been sent, so they better get in. Again.
Welcome back, everybody. We are in the infrared spectrum as the lights have faded, and the lions don't realize that they're faded yet. They're just waiting for more cover of darkness, because as you saw with their zebra hunt, they were a little bit too zealous. So I think they realize, oh, maybe if it was darker we would have done better, so let's wait a little bit longer. And let me clean my elbow. It's always an important place to clean. You see, that whole chest area gets covered in blood, covered in all sorts of things. I can't imagine what it smells like. Apparently the pride was on a dead hippo day before yesterday. That could not have smelt very nice. Now, thankfully, we've been close to them, but the wind is almost non-existent, so haven't been able to smell the lions, and they've yet to do what they love to do, come and stand in front of us and have a big poo, which can often be the death of me. I do struggle with those sort of smells. Bless you. Got a bit of fur in the nostrils. So what do we all think they're going to do? Are they going to go north from here, towards Bifosuk Dam? Are they going to go directly east, towards Torchwood to drink? Or are they going to go straight back towards Leadwood, Mamba, on Djuma to collect the cubs? Well, if they don't get moving soon, we'll never know. Helen, it's basically just a bit of a body language gesture. You see it with Tundi, you see it with leopards a lot. They'll just sort of look at them and growl, and the cubs just know. I can't actually say I've seen Unkuhumas do it with their cubs. They just leave them behind. But Tundi used to do it with Tlalamba quite often. You'd see her sort of walk and then turn around and look at her and give her that like snarl, and then she just knew that was the stay put snarl. And it's also possible that because they'd walked a fair distance by that stage, that maybe the cubs were even tired. So they were told to stay. Oh, that's a good itchy spot right there, right on the belly. Oh, right there. I love how they lick their lips when they scratch themselves there. It's deliciously itchy. Oh yeah, one more time, just under the elbow, in the armpit. so this one is not one of the... This is an adult. This is Chella. I think that's Chella. Bit of a head rub. And a plonk down. Let me just move back a touch here. Just a touch. We can get the family portrait. Okay, so it looks like east is the way. That is Amber Eyes. Okay, so Torchwood Dam, it is. Bless you, Amber Eyes. Oh, Amber Eyes is a lady, though. She does often move off to go and have her ablutions. But everybody, it has been a wonderful afternoon and day. Thank you for joining us here this afternoon on the show from all of our wonderful locations. Thank you to everybody for the wonderful wishes to me today. It's been a wonderful birthday so far. And we're going to follow the Pride for a moment longer. But we'll see you tomorrow morning, bright and early, same time, same place. Thanks from everyone. We thank you for your questions and comments. Good night.
Africa is very special, and when you come down here, even when you're watching through our camera, the landscapes change from desert to bushveld to up in the Masai Mara where there's grassland. That means that the biodiversity changes as we move along Africa. And what I love most about connecting with you guys is the fact that I get to share these wonderful experiences with thousands of people. It's happening right now, live. Catch me in the wild on channel 183 on DSTV.
This program features live